fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm Big Al. That's the Professor. Don't adjust your sets. There are no guests today. The Hyena does apologize. He did put out on all his social medias on Facebook and Instagram that he is under the weather. So we wish you well, Hyena, and we hope you get better, and we will see you on December 10th. He has been postponed to December 10th. A couple other things to mention before me and the Professor have a little chat here is that Around the Turnbuckle next Sunday, we'll be back at our regular time at 6 o'clock, and we will be there with the unwilting Tatiana. And we're looking forward to chat with her. We saw her in action last month at Brawl Hallows Eve for 3WA. And maybe
she's super active too. I mean, I see posts all the time. She's constantly out there promoting herself and doing the thing, very inspiring.
Awesome. And and we can't wait to see her again. I'm sure we will at 3WA. And then on December the 3rd, Sunday, December 3rd, we have a very special episode of Around the Turnbuckle. And that is, we're going to look at the career of Prince Shango. Some of you know him as Adrian Starr. Some of you know him as Adrian Sanders. Some of you know him as part of the Truth Serum. But other than that, he had a great run, and it's unfortunately cut short due to medical reasons, and he will talk to us about all that and everything that where he started. Like, we've had him on the show, I believe, 3 times in the past 3 years, about 3 times. So you can go back and check those out, some of those old episodes, and learn more about his career as it went on. He even had an episode where he was kind of face to face with one Irving Legend down in Virginia Championship Wrestling. I remember we did that a couple of years ago. But Adrian will be with us. He is also 1/3 of the Three Beards podcast with Mr. Ping and General Kiesel, and they're on every Monday night at 6 o'clock. And on Monday the 4th, they will have me shooting whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever they want to talk about. I can't wait to talk to those guys about wrestling in general, but also the Pennsylvania scene and everything like that. So if you want to check that out, check out Three Beards of Wrestling. You have to actually put Three Beards of Wrestling podcast, and they're on YouTube and Facebook, and they are on every Monday night. They're on tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. I believe Rob Noxious is their guest tomorrow night. But tonight, like I said, in case you're just joining us, because I see a bunch of people popping on now, we are no guests tonight, so we could talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So send some comments, send some questions. If you're watching us live, you could really help the conversation. Keith, there is Classic Johnny Potter saying, how we doing?
Not very surprising that you say open forum, ask me anything. I keep thinking of the old John Lovitz line from Saturday Night Live, get to know me. And of course, Johnny Potter shows up.
Of course he does. Good to see you, Johnny, and hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Where's Tony? We want to talk to Tony. I want to talk to Anthony. All right. We can talk about how great Classic Johnny Potter is. Professor, do you realize how great Classic Johnny Potter is? Or do you bask in his greatness?
I don't know about basking, but, he certainly talks enough about it. And I mean, after my experience with 2 matches with Dazzling Derek Banish last night, dang it, Jim. Carolina Jim put that mispronunciation in my head, and I'm working my ass off to
Dazzling
get it out.
Derek Banish.
But man, that was certainly an experience. And for anybody out there that was at the show last night, or definitely for my broadcast partners, I put it up on Facebook last night. What an experience that was, to have a different color person almost every single match. Really a challenge for me to kind of update what I'm doing, because I don't know if you realize this, fans, but it's a crappy commentator, I think, that just has their style, their shtick, and if somebody else comes in there, they just go, nah, just do what I do. Nah,
Right.
do the same thing I always do.
Yep.
It was a great challenge, a fun challenge to kind of try to change up the banter, change up what I was doing based on who was sitting next to me at the time. And we really had some fun. And I thank everybody who pitched in and did it, because it was complete volunteer. Nobody was arm twisted to do it. So
Nope.
appreciate your respect and helping us out with that and all those things, all the things.
Yeah, and I had a chance to listen to some of that commentary because they were using my equipment, so I was able to send it to the SWO so that they can add it to their videos, so that they could put their videos out on YouTube. And I did hear some Eric Miami in there. I heard some Dazzling Derek Banish in there. I heard some
Jim's got you doing it too.
Yes, I heard some Ace Dallas in there. Good camaraderie with you, I thought, for the most part, most of them.
I have to
Trace
say,
Parker too. I'll give Trace Parker a shout out there. And how about Trace Parker? Let's talk a little bit about Trace Parker.
Yeah.
What do you think? How about the kick heard around the world?
I told Trace Parker at the first SWO show I went to, when we kind of saw the dissension between him and Tim Rush, I said, man, when they finally get around to pulling the trigger on that, the roof is coming off, whatever building you guys are in, that crowd is going to go banana, because the connection that they've had with him and how much they have been dying for months for him to finally stand up to Tim Rush and put him on his ass.
Love it.
Again, it's like I always say, it's not that hard to do wrestling correctly. But it's about patience. It's about not going, oh, in seg 1, I'm going to set up that this guy has a problem with this guy, maybe, and we're going to tease it. And then by seg 6, he's going to turn on him and we're off to the races.
Okay, so Classic Johnny Potter said, didn't our friend the professor find out the hard way it's not a good idea to step into the ring recently?
Yeah, that video has really been making the rounds. It's been a little scary how it worked. Everybody finds out, like, wait, what happened? Does video of this exist? I want to watch.
And please allow me to say that, yes, go to 3WA Carnage on YouTube and see that clip. I believe it's episode 64.
Yeah, it's whatever the newest one was.
The most recent episode of 3WA Carnage. It's at the beginning of the episode. Wyndham James Winthrop III tried to have a wake for the career of Theo Ivory, and the professor wasn't going to allow him to desecrate the Tea Time Championship along with the picture of Wyndham James or of Theo Ivory's mother. So the professor
not get us kicked out of the Q Mart for setting a fire because the man's insane.
There you go. So Greg said Thundercats here said yes, he put him on his ass. I thought he put him on his front. I think he hauled him from behind, and the professor went down on all fours. So I don't think he put him on his ass per se.
I think
he did attack him from behind.
Trace Parker.
He didn't lay him out. Yeah, weren't we talking about Trace Parker?
I don't think Greg was as enthusiastic as some people are for me to get hurt. At least I hope not.
No, I don't think so. I don't. But yeah, Trace Parker, kick heard around the world. Tim Rush now has got to be a little worried. I mean, because the fans are now firmly behind Trace Parker to be that guy that finally dethrones Tim Rush.
Well, I think Tim Rush has been worried about Trace Parker for a while. I mean, look at all the manipulation that Tim Rush was doing. I mean, originally last night, and thankfully Zach Carlucci stepped in, originally Tim Rush had conned Trace Parker into putting his number one contendership on the line against Benny Slater and Prince Piranha.
Yep.
And then thankfully Zach Carlucci stepped in, saw exactly what was happening, and said, no. We're just going to go ahead and have a four-way, and you're going to need to put the title up, Tim.
You're welcome for the opening for the shameless plug. Yeah, yeah.
We do appreciate the shameless plug opportunity.
We appreciate that there.
We're not above a shameless plug. Not at all.
No, absolutely not. Like I said, and you can see me on Three Beers on December the 4th.
And really, Three Beards is a great podcast. I mean, Adrian, if you've never seen his TikToks, check out his TikToks.
They're so funny.
Like
the three of them together, they don't have and honestly, just like us, Keith, we started with no audience. Right now they have no audience. They have, they have a couple, maybe a couple hundred that are starting, but they're just
the existing fan base.
They're just getting out there, and so they need to be heard by other people and say, hey, you need to check this out, and that's why we're talking to our audience, because we already have a decent audience. So we're going to say, listen, there's this other podcast called the Three Beards of Wrestling podcast, and it's Mr. Ping, it's Prince Shango, and it's General Kiesel. And I know most people that watch our show know who those three guys are. And they're just the camaraderie between them. And they talk about local stuff like we do, but they also talk WWE. They also talk AEW sometimes. They talk about upcoming stuff. We got David Motorman, Trace Parker, and Tim Rush. Oh, yeah, put him on his ad. Yes, that is correct. Absolutely, he did.
Get hurt.
See, he didn't want you to get hurt. He was talking about Trace Parker. Yes. David Motorman is here, and I hope you're feeling better, Dave. The professor missed you last night. I'm really looking forward to all the great commentary from SWO Thanksgiving Thunder. Thanks to Rose Gold, Sean Rollins, and Order 66. I will never look at Thanksgiving dessert ever the same. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that, Professor. You called it. You and Merrick Miami called that one.
Did we
tickle my turkey?
Did we experience it? My God, what a brawl! What a situation! I forgot to mention on commentary, but Order 66 gave a little tip for tat there to Cody Rhodes and Sean Rollins. They jumped them last month. Payback's hell, gentlemen. They got jumped in return. I thought Kiesel at one point was going to steal the hammer, ring the bell himself, and then bury the hammer somewhere in Cody Rhodes' skull.
He was, absolutely.
We know there's no love lost between all four of those men. Kiesel has taken away everything now. Everything from Rose Gold, Cody Rhodes. He's taken away his bank accounts.
Yep.
He's taken away his company.
Yep.
The last thing that Cody and Sean Rollins had left to their name was those SWO Tag Team Championships. Now they don't even have that.
Nope.
What is the future going to hold for Rose Gold 2.0? We're going to find out in December, I think, at Christmas Chaos.
And from now on, since Merrick Miami's been on here a record 6 times, whenever Merrick Miami's name is mentioned, you're obligated to say tickle my turkey.
No, I don't think I am. I can't believe he said that. I have serious doubts that if that match were to air on Inside the Squared Circle, they may have to bleep that.
No, they will not.
No,
they cannot. Wolfman, if you're watching, because I did tag you on this post. Wolfman, if you're watching, I want the first match you put on for Inside the Squared Circle on Wednesday is the tag team Thanksgiving Thunder street fight. And guys, you'll love the commentary. I'm telling you. Yes. You'll hear it, Greg. You'll see it. Yeah. You'll see it on SWO video. You will see it. It's amazing. But anyway,
speaking of, everything will be done by then. I know the last batch of shows from SWO 300 have just been posted, so hopefully those should start making their way out there. Another great show. Get on YouTube. Go look that up, guys. Fantastic stuff. Great show. Very proud to have been a part of that. Very proud to see a local company hit 300 shows.
It was awesome.
Over 22 years. Just fantastic.
Yeah, I was honored to announce that show, and as I was Thanksgiving Thunder. So you mentioned what's the future hold for Rose Gold 2.0?
Mm-hmm.
What's the future hold for Praise Me Practice?
I mean, I alluded to it on commentary. As far as I know, Vicious Van Valley is alluding to the fact that he's done, that he's looking to wrap it up and call it a career.
Mm-hmm.
Ace Dallas has absolutely no friends in that locker room, let me tell you. I mean, Ace Dallas was alluding to last night, now that Kimberly Spirit defeated Merrick Miami, not only defeated him, but submitted him.
Can you imagine that?
Definitively in the center of the ring. Kimberly Spirit's got to be seen as in line, really the number one contender to the Uprising Championship right now. And Ace Dallas told me if Kimberly Spirit wins that championship, he may have to resign.
Oh, so
Zach
here's
Carlucci.
so here's some
immediately.
So here's some wrestling math. I want you to agree with me or disagree with me, okay? Since Merrick Miami beat Matt Cardona and Kimberly Spirit beat Merrick Miami, does that mean Kimberly Spirit is greater than Matt Cardona?
Well, I mean, Merrick Miami beat Matt Cardona with a low blow. It's not like, he definitively submitted him or something like that, like Kimberly Spirit did to Merrick Miami. So I don't know that you could go far with that math, but then again, it's wrestling. You can probably justify just about anything if you look hard enough. And
well, you're used to me justifying. Yeah, you're used to me justifying things often. So, I justify things.
Yeah, you're tortured logic.
But a win is a win, and there's Thundercat.
Well, I mean, that's true, but like I say, Kimberly Spirit defeated Merrick Miami via submission, so you have to think that she just punched her.
She made him tap. I mean,
contender. Exactly.
That's awesome.
Had the title been on the line, Kimberly Spirit would be the Uprising champion right now, so you have to believe she's got a claim on that belt. Well, and I'm sure Merrick Miami is somewhere right now, and if he's watching this, I'm pretty sure that he is probably losing his mind, tearing hair out right now.
I invited him to
that match way, way too lightly, and he paid the price.
I did invite him to pop in here. He did not reply, so I mean the offer's still there if he is watching. And I also did the same to Ace Dallas because Ace Dallas was unable to comment after his match. Unable to comment after his match.
Well, you talk about taking an opponent lightly. I think Ace Dallas thought he was coming into that match up there and he was going to just beat the Wolfman from pillar to post. But last night, for perhaps one night only, the Canadian Wolfman returned and Ace Dallas wasn't ready for any of that. I know Al tried to get a word with him after the match to talk about Praise Me Practice, talk about, the loss and the situation there, and Ace Dallas was beside himself and couldn't do it. Ace Dallas has been someone that is a little lost, I feel like, in the SWO right now. Yes, he's always going to project confidence. Yes, in Ace Dallas's mind, he is always the almighty reverend, and we're all sinners, and we're all the worst. But his win-loss record has not been great lately.
Yeah, and Greg says here, if keeping up with win-loss records, regardless of how it happens, is set.
I mean, it's true. And I mean, Greg is someone that has his own promotion and is obviously intimately involved with championships and having to deal with rankings and contention. But it's always been my understanding of if you can beat the champion, especially if you can beat the champion 1, 2, 3, or make them submit, you've got a shot at that title because you should be considered at that point the uncrowned champion.
Yeah, and that's an unwritten rule, Keith. Like that's kind of been the thing, right? Like if you have a non-title match, and back in old WWF days, they would do that. Like they would have a non-title match with, like, say, the Intercontinental Champion, and like somebody would get like a crazy win, like a shocking win, and they were like, "Oh my God, he just beat the champion! He just beat the champion!" And I remember many calls by like Jim Ross and like Michael Cole to that effect, where like it happened a lot during the Attitude Era, where they would have a match on Raw non-title, and they would beat the champions, and then they'd be in the back like, hey, I just beat the champion. How about a title shot for real at the SummerSlam or whatever? And it would happen. So yeah, Kimberly Spirit, I'm with you on that. Kimberly Spirit versus Merrick Miami for the Uprising Championship. But again, be careful what you wish for, because did you see Merrick Miami before the match started? He was kind of like lackadaisical. Like, really? You want me to wrestle Kimberly Spirit? I think he took her very lightly.
Absolutely. He looked like he thought he had a night off, and he paid for it.
Right. So what happens then when the title's on the line, and and now he's got to be serious, and now he's got to be like Merrick Miami and do whatever it takes to keep his championship. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, and I'm sure he will, knowing Merrick Miami.
What are you trying to say? All right, so Greg's back. He's like, Sheldon Benjamin versus Triple H was one of the. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so Triple H was shocked by a pin on TV by Sheldon Benjamin once upon a time, and got a championship match out of that.
Yep. And then the push never materialized after, because
Sheldon Benjamin's one of those guys, man. He's just 20 years in the business. He's done it all, and he doesn't get half the credit he deserves. He only gets like, oh, well, he never had that. He was never the top guy, because he was never gonna be. Some guys just aren't.
I don't think he's a guy that wasn't a top guy, but he is definitely a guy that should have been more.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been like your workhorse Intercontinental Champion or something like that. He should have been in the position where it's like he's the guy testing out the guy that you think is going to be the next big thing.
Yep.
Like Shelton's kind of the gatekeeper to see if you're worth anything, and beating him matters.
He had a U.S. run for like.
I don't understand why he never seemed to get to that level. What they thought was missing.
His longest title runs, and I say runs because they were close, was he was tag team champions with Charlie Haas for like I want to say 6 to 8 months, and then the United States Championship about the same length of time. When they split up, he was the gold standard, and he was the United States. That was the whole gimmick, right? He was the gold standard, so he's going to be after some gold, and the gold that he had for a while was the United States Championship for a while. But to your point, yes, I think that especially when he left and he came back, they really didn't use him when he came back. Not really. And he's still in awesome shape.
I think what happened there, because I remember hearing when he came back that they were looking at it as, we need to expand out the rosters to make this brand split thing work. So we're going to need some people that are just solid in the ring that we can trust, not necessarily do anything with them, but they can be bodies on TV that are credible, that the fans are into.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why you bring him in with that idea, or why when you see that he still has it, you don't then turn around and go, I'd like to do something more with this. Because, I mean, the Hurt Business was a good idea, and it was a fairly well done angle, but I feel like at the end of the day, what happened is kind of what happens with these groups sometimes, where they go, okay, we want to break one guy out, and the idea of this is to break the one guy out, and in this case was Bobby Lashley.
Right.
Mission accomplished, you did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand, and I've never understood it with some of these groups, where that's the idea, and it's not like, well, why can't we break almost everybody out? Why can't everybody get to another level? Yes, I understand some people are main eventers. Like, this is the one thing I didn't like about when Kevin Nash would talk about the finger poke of doom. And he was like, well, the idea was to create a machine for Goldberg to run through. Goldberg would run through us for the next 6 months or so, win the title, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, but you have like 20 guys at that point between the two versions of the NWO. I mean, it might not have been 20 guys, but like, you have like 10 guys at least. You're telling me you're going to have 10 guys that are just going to go through just for one guy? Like, why, like, yes, I can understand maybe Goldberg runs through some of these people very quickly. But to me, it's like, but why isn't there then positioning of other people? Why can't we do Goldberg, and like Booker T was emerging at that point, so it's like Booker T will work with somebody, you know, one or two other people you peg that you want to do something with. Like, that's the problem with, to me, with a lot of these stables going back to even the NWO days, where it's like you create this super group and you create this situation of like, okay, it's these fuckers against the world,
Yeah.
but the world doesn't come at them. It seems like you decide one or two people are the chosen one. They're going to be the one to destroy these guys. And I just keep looking at it like, but why aren't you getting up and down your card, up and down your roster over? Because you have so many guys and you've created this idea of like a brand almost. And it's a war between these two brands, these two ideologies. If you have 10 guys on the heel side, why can't you get 10 baby faces over with those heels? I don't get it. I'm not saying you make 10 main eventers,
Right.
but you get 10 guys better positioned coming out of it than they were going into it.
And I think to piggyback off of that, you're seeing that with the Judgment Day, because the difference there is with like Imperium, it's all about Gunther, and the other two guys are stooges. So they're like, that's one of those examples where
Which
you're.
I don't agree with that either. I think they should be. I think you have to spin them off as a tag team. I think they're limited as singles, but I don't understand why we can't. And maybe they will. I mean, maybe it's a long-term situation. It's like we want to build Gunther now, and then later on down the line, we'll come back and we'll spin the other two off, and they'll be like a, you know, nasty heel tag team. Because I think they could be a nasty heel tag team. I've been impressed with those guys since NXT UK when they put
awesome matches.
In the first
matches. Go back and watch those, man.
Yeah, there's something definitely there with all three talents.
You have that talent. You
don't have three main eventers there. You have one main eventer and you have a really good tag team. What's wrong with
nothing?
To me, it's insane how we get into this position sometimes on the internet where it's like, well, everybody has to be spun off and be the world champion or fuck it. And part of that was, but to be fair, part of that attitude too is coming out of a promotion. We saw that happening in WWE and up and down in some other promotions too, where it's like the only value is you can go for the world title and the rest of you can just fuck off and do whatever and fill out the card. And it's like, but why? What if people don't care that much about? There were times during the Attitude Era where I give a crap less what was happening with the heavyweight title. I really could. There were times where I wasn't that interested in what Austin was doing. I was never a big Rock fan, but I had an Undertaker feud that I might be interested in, where I always gave a shit about what Mick Foley was doing. So it's like I would have stuff underneath that world title program that I didn't necessarily care about, that I would still be like, but I'm going to tune in and watch that.
Yeah, and that's how I was with the Macho Man, right? Like when if Hogan was having a beef with King Kong Bundy or Big John Studd or the Earthquake or something, I was like, okay, wow, big deal. But who's the Macho Man taking on right now? You know what I mean? Same thing. Greg says Evolution did it right. Yeah.
And it was built to do it right. It was built,
and that was the point.
Your guys over.
That was the point of Evolution, right? Because you had Ric Flair, you had Triple H, and you had those two you had Batista and Orton as the up and coming guys.
Right. Two guys they wanted to turn into franchises and did.
And that's what they're doing with Judgment Day, I think. But everybody has profited from being in that group. Rhea, Damian Priest, Dominic, Finn Balor. What the hell were they doing with Finn Balor? They weren't doing anything with Finn Balor. So, you know.
I mean, when they inevitably split, and they will, and probably sooner rather than later, because I think it's naturally coming to a place where everybody is ready to kind of break off into doing their own little thing.
Mommy's over.
Everybody's going to be better for having been there and for having been in it. And I don't understand why that cannot consistently be pulled off, because it doesn't seem that hard to me to do.
I agree. Totally agree. But again, guys, if you guys are watching, and we got a lot more viewers now, if you have a comment, question for us, we have an open forum. There is no guest tonight. If you're just joining us at the, if you just popped in, say hi. That's cool too. But Keith and I were at SWO Thanksgiving Thunder last night. Keith was on the commentary table doing the play-by-play. I was ring announcing. We had a great time. It was a really good show. The Hyena was our scheduled guest tonight. He will be back on December the 10th. He's under the weather tonight. He has the flu, so we wish him well. Everybody that's watching, thanks for popping in and saying hi to us and making your comments. We always love Greg and all your comments. When are you two going down to Alabama? Yeah. We'll try. I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah, I will need to save up for that.
I'm just starting my own business, and Keith is, right now knees deep in Christmas time. So it's really
now I have to have work done on my car after yesterday, so that'll be fun too.
Well, there's that. So yeah, man. But we definitely got to make that happen. Definitely, maybe in the spring would be a better time. Like May, like April or May. Better weather, easier travel conditions, that kind of thing. Who did guest commentary at SWO last night? Kurt asks.
Ace did.
Ace Dallas
did. Merrick Miami. Trace Parker sat in for a match. Tommy Vex sat in for Rico's match.
Tommy, yes.
Who else? General Kiesel sat in for the Canadian Wolfman match. Because that was
the return of the Canadian Wolfman.
He wasn't not going to sit in for that one.
Sure, absolutely. And Dazzling Derek did a couple matches with you, right? Dazzling Derek did the main event with you.
Yeah, Derek did a couple. Miami did a couple. Everybody else did one. But I appreciate everybody.
Trace Parker. You mentioned Trace Parker.
Trace Parker did, yes.
Yes, Trace Parker did a match, so there you go. What's your opinion on the current Triple WA feuds? There is my man Kai Thomas, the newest member of the original Family Professor. There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
What's wrong? What's wrong with that? You suddenly changed your attitude when Kai Thomas appears. There he is, right there.
I think the Bard said it best. How sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have an ungrateful child.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want what? Your boys, one of your boys to run up to you, hit you with a chair? You think you deserve that?
No, we're not talking about. Well, number one, I'm not
humiliated.
Number one, I'm not a wrestler, so my boys wouldn't do that. But maybe if they did, that's on them. But Kai Thomas is doing what it takes to win, and if he can sell his soul to Satan himself, he's going to be a winner and a champion in 3WA, and that's what he did.
How's that working for the original Family right now? How many titles do they have?
That's right now.
0.
But how many have they had? Yeah, but see, you're talking about now.
I'm not talking about the past. You're a guy that's on
the recent past. They had them all.
Cowboys fans that are living in the 90s, all their rings.
You can't put me in the same sentence with Cowboys fans. You know that. But anyway, over the past couple of years, recent years, the 3WA had one of the longest reigning hardcore champions. They had the heavyweight champion in their family. They had the tag team championships in their family. So there's been a lot of gold over the past year and a half, 2 years in the family. So Kyle knows, now's my time. It's your time, kid. It's your time. Go get it. Love it. Was there any other feuds, Kai Thomas, that you wanted me to me and the professor to chat about other than yourself and Top Shelf Tyler Sims, or
there's that. We know that we have the climax. Hopefully, I don't know how much more final it can get than a last man standing match between Theo Irie and Wyndham James Winthorpe III. This has gotten way, way, way too personal.
Yes.
I'm frankly surprised that this match was even able to be sanctioned.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
My sources have talked about hold harmless agreements. I've heard talk about waivers being signed. I'm told that the doctor has already been informed to be on special alert for this one. I mean,
Bad.
It's beyond personal. It's going to be a war at this point. I mean, frankly, fans, you need to watch out for your own safety in this one because I think they could potentially go anywhere.
This Saturday, fans, in Quakertown, if you don't have any plans, all right, if you go shop, you have Thanksgiving turkey on Thursday, you go shopping on Friday, and then Saturday night, like, what are we going to do Saturday night? Come on down to Quakertown. Last man standing, Theo Ivory versus Wyndham James Winthrop III. Professor and I will be there with the call. It's going to be awesome. Kai Thomas says he's got his eyes on Roadblock, but I will decide when I want to wrestle him.
Roadblock doesn't get his hands on you first.
Well, you know what Roadblock did to me, Kai Thomas, so I would appreciate you doing that sooner than later.
How about what you did to Roadblock and the fans, frankly? You're lucky you made it through the parking lot last month.
What do you mean?
You have no self-awareness whatsoever, do you?
He called me a jackass and threatened me, like physically threatened me. I was an interviewer.
Insulted the entire town and the surrounding suburbs.
Well, it's really hard not to insult Quakertown. I'm sorry. If Quakertown was a better place to live, I wouldn't have anything to say, would I? If it was Phoenixville, right? If you're talking about Phoenixville, I can't make fun of people from Phoenixville. There's nothing to say.
Drive a rental car in next time. That's all I've got to say.
Rental car. Wow. Thank you, Kai Thomas. Yeah, go get it. Go after it, kid. Championship gold is in your future. I predict. Yeah, so Professor, I mean, it was a great night at SWO. We're going to have a great night this coming Saturday. We're probably going to do a pre-show Saturday at 12 noon. Tune in for that. Who knows who will show up? Maybe JT Cage will be back with us as a co-host. Maybe Top Shelf Tyler Sims. He's done that before. Little different attitude now the champion has. So, now he's kind of embraced the fans.
God forbid he tries to do the right thing.
Everyone from Quakertown. Well, to see Kai Thomas, Kai Thomas is the words of wisdom right there, kid. Right? Words of wisdom. It's all I got to say. But anyway.
Somebody needs to deal with that.
Come on, Professor. Anyway, so guys, thanks for tuning in and commenting and talking with us tonight. And we're going to get out of here. I hope everybody has a very happy Thanksgiving this coming Thursday with your families. We wish well David Motorman. I know you're watching, brother. We hope you get well soon and you're right back next to the Professor at SWO. Although he did enjoy all those, guest commentators, he did miss Big Dave. I know that. So
absolutely.
So yeah, and we'll be calling up Inside the Squared Circle on Wednesday. We'll call you up, Wolfman, and we'll shoot the crap about wrestling the night before Thanksgiving. And we'll hope to see everybody in Quakertown. Last man standing. Wyndham James Winthrop III, Theo Ivory. Maybe we'll see some Kai Thomas and Roadblock. I don't know. We'll see.
If you're not near Quakertown, I'm sure there's some wrestling locally near you that's running either this Saturday or in the very near future. Keep your eyes out for that. Support the local independents, guys. These are the labs where the stars come from. You do not get the guys that you're enjoying now on national television for the most part unless they come through these smaller independent leagues that desperately need your money, desperately need your support.
Yep.
Because that's the only way we keep it going. Let's keep the craft going. Let's not let it die out. Let's not let these guys die in darkness. Let's make sure that we're keeping dreams alive and dreams going.
Well said, brother. All right, so for those of you that will see this Saturday in Quakertown, we'll see you guys there. We'll hang out and we'll chat it up. For the rest of you, we'll see you guys next Sunday on Around the Turnbuckle with the unwilting Tatiana. But until then, guys, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon.
You think you know me?
Can I